Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Gossips 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. For over 30 years, the world of the bold and the beautiful has been built on secrets, tangled family bloodlines, and lies buried beneath glamorous Forrester gold. But nothing has ever prepared Los Angeles for what is about to unfold tonight as Taylor Hayes finally steps forward to reveal a truth she has carried in silence for decades. The truth about Steffy Forrester's paternity. A truth so earth-shattering it threatens to destroy Ridge's marriage, shatter Steffy's identity, rewrite the Forrester family tree, and unravel the very fabric of everything the show has built since Steffy's birth. Because suddenly, with one trembling confession and Ridge's world spinning out of control, the question becomes, who is Steffy's real father? The episode opens at the Cliff House, where fog rolls over the coastline as if the world knows something terrible is about to break. Taylor stands alone in front of the fireplace, visibly shaking, her fingers pressed against her lips, eyes glassy with tears she has held back for 30 long years, memories of heartbreak, passion, and betrayal flashing through her mind in chaotic waves, breaths becoming shallow as she whispers to herself that she cannot run anymore, cannot hide anymore, because if she continues living with this secret she will lose herself completely, and Steffy Liam Ridge, everyone she loves, deserves the truth even if it burns them alive. Ridge enters slowly behind her, his expression hard, confused, and almost frightened as he watches the woman he loved for half his life tremble in silence. He asks her what is wrong, voice low, and Taylor turns to him with eyes blazing like a confession trapped behind glass, whispering Ridge's name as though she has to say it to feel courage. Ridge takes a step closer, reaching for her shoulders, trying to steady her shaking body, reminding her that nothing, absolutely nothing, could ever justify the way she looks right now unless she is about to destroy someone's life with whatever she is hiding. And Taylor knows he is right, she is about to destroy everything. She tells him they need to sit, that this conversation cannot happen standing, and Ridge immediately feels the blood drain from his face because Taylor Hayes never tells someone to sit unless she is about to drop a nuclear truth. And suddenly the room fills with tension so thick Ridge cannot breathe because he knows, somewhere deep inside, whatever truth she carries is connected to Steffy, and his heart begins pounding with panic no father ever wants to experience. Taylor tries to speak but her voice breaks, and she tells him she has kept a secret about Steffy's birth, something she should have confessed 30 years ago but was too afraid to say because she knew it would destroy families, marriages, and reputations. Ridge stiffens, eyes narrowing, mind racing as he asks if this has something to do with his rivalry with Bill Spencer, because Bill has been a shadow hanging over his marriage, his family, his children for decades, whispering doubt and suspicion since the day Steffy was born. And suddenly Ridge remembers every time someone questioned how similar Steffy looked to Bill, how she had that Spencer fire in her eyes, how she had their intensity, ruthlessness, and drive. Taylor says no, it's much worse than Bill, and Ridge feels the room tilt because worse than Bill means something that connects to the past, the years before DNA testing, before digital records, before there were safety nets to protect the truth from human fear and manipulation. At the same moment, Steffy drives toward the Cliff House, unaware that the night sky she watches glittering above the ocean is the last calm moment she will ever experience as the woman she has always believed herself to be. She is humming along to music on the radio, thinking about Finn, Hayes, Kelly, and the family she has created, never imagining that her entire identity is about to crumble beneath her feet, because the truth her mother is preparing to reveal will change not only her name, but her bloodline, her legacy, and the father she has loved since childhood. Meanwhile, at Forrester Creations, Brooke and Eric sense something is wrong. Brooke has seen Ridge's face before he left the office that afternoon, stiff and pale, as if he already suspected Taylor was hiding something. And Eric tells Brooke that Ridge has been haunted for years by the whispers that Steffy didn't look like Ridge, that maybe fate had played a cruel trick, and Brooke admits she always thought Steffy resembled someone else, her eyes, her bone structure, her fierceness, traits she never saw in Ridge at Steffy's age. But Brooke never dared speak of it because Ridge would accuse her of jealousy, and she had enough trouble dealing with Taylor back then. Brooke doesn't know what Taylor is about to confess, but she knows this family has been built on secrets and she knows Taylor Hayes better than anyone. When Taylor becomes quiet, when Taylor isolates, when Taylor shakes, something catastrophic is coming. Back at the Cliff House, Taylor takes Ridge's hand, voice trembling, tears falling, telling him that during the time she was involved with him at the beginning, the years of passion, chaos, and rivalry, something happened that she never thought would come back to haunt her, something she believed she had erased from existence. She reveals that just weeks before Steffi was conceived, she had a secret affair with someone Ridge once trusted, someone Ridge once admired, someone whose betrayal destroyed Ridge a lifetime ago, and Ridge practically stops breathing as he whispers the man's name, Massimo Marone. Taylor nods, crying as Ridge stands up abruptly, staggering backward as if punched in the gut, clutching his chest, because Massimo Marone was the man who stole Ridge's biological identity, the man who fathered him, the man who ripped his world apart when Ridge found out Eric wasn't his real father, and now Taylor is telling him Massimo may also be Steffi's biological father, that Steffi may not be his daughter, not a Forrester by blood, not the child he raised, not the legacy he believed he built from love and loyalty and destiny. The words slam through Ridge's brain so violently he almost collapses. He screams that this is impossible, accuses Taylor of lying, demands to know why she would do this, and Taylor sobs harder, insisting she is not lying. She had an affair with Massimo Marone one night, in a moment of weakness, passion, confusion and heartbreak, a night she believed Ridge had chosen Brooke forever, and she sought comfort in the arms of a man who understood her pain. Ridge's shaking voice destroyed, whispering that Steffi is his life, his baby girl, the daughter who carries his passion, his fire, the woman he has loved more than life, and Taylor nods, saying she knows, but the guilt has been eating her alive because the night Steffi was conceived she was with Ridge, and Massimo days before, and the timelines overlap, and she has always known there was a chance, a terrible chance. Steffi walks through the door at that exact moment, smiling, calling out to her parents, telling them she has news from Finn, but the smile freezes on her face when she sees Ridge broken, eyes wild, Taylor sobbing uncontrollably, and she asks what is wrong. Ridge cannot speak, voice gone, mind numb, and Taylor turns towards Steffi with the look of a mother about to destroy her daughter's soul. Steffi stares between her parents, frozen, heart racing as the tension in the living room grows thick enough to suffocate. She laughs nervously at first because surely this must be a misunderstanding. Her mother crying, her father shaking, both of them looking at her as if she has already been sentenced for a crime she never committed. She asks them again what is going on, voice a little sharper this time, fear tainting every syllable, and Ridge looks away because he cannot bear to see the innocence in his daughter's eyes, not when he knows the truth is about to take that innocence away forever. Taylor wipes her tears with trembling hands, trying to form words her mouth refuses to shape, and Steffi steps closer saying her name. Mom? Talk to me. Voice cracking. Taylor finally whispers that she has been living with a lie since the day Steffi was born, and Steffi goes pale, blood draining from her cheeks, because the gravity in Taylor's voice tells her this is no ordinary secret. Steffi swallows, throat tight, asking what kind of lie, but Ridge cuts in, voice raw with rage as he yells that Steffi may not be his biological daughter. The words echo through the house like a gunshot. Steffi's mouth drops open, eyes wide, and for a moment she cannot breathe, cannot blink, cannot move, because the floor just disappeared under her. She shakes her head over and over saying no, as if repetition could make the universe reverse, make the clock rewind, make truth lie. But Ridge is still talking, nearly shouting, telling her that Taylor is confessing that she was with another man around the time Steffi was conceived, and Steffi feels like every cell in her body is turning to ice. She whispers, that doesn't make sense, because her entire life, every memory, every breath she has ever taken, has been rooted in being Ridge Forrester's daughter. That identity built her confidence, her pride, her business drive, and her view of the world. Without it, who the hell is she? Taylor tries to reach for Steffi, but Steffi steps back horrified, asking who the man is. Ridge snarls the name like poison, Massimo Marone, and Steffi flinches. She knows the name. She has heard the stories. Ridge once believed Massimo was his father. Massimo nearly destroyed the Forresters. Massimo took away Ridge's sense of belonging, and now the same man may have fathered Steffi. Steffi whispers, that can't be true. She begs Taylor to deny it, to tell her father is exaggerating, misunderstanding, hallucinating. But Taylor, sobbing, shakes her head. She admits she slept with Massimo. She admits the timelines overlap. She admits she has always known the possibility. Steffi collapses onto the sofa, head in her hands, whispering, my entire life? A lie. Voice filled with pure disbelief. Ridge wants to comfort Steffi, but rage and heartbreak make him freeze. He asks Taylor why she hid this secret for 30 years. screaming that she robbed Steffi of the truth and robbed him of fatherhood. Taylor sobs harder, saying she didn't know for sure, that she didn't want to tear apart the family, that she never imagined the secret would survive this long. But Ridge doesn't care about the reasons, he only feels betrayal. He storms toward the door, saying he needs air or he will explode. Steffi stands too, grabbing his arm, begging him not to leave her, crying that she needs her father now more than ever. Ridge's eyes soften for a split second, but then his face hardens again and he says, voice flat, "I don't know if I am your father." The sentence rips Steffi's heart open. Ridge leaves the Cliff house, slamming the door so violently the walls shake. Taylor reaches for Steffi again, but Steffi jerks away. She demands to know why Taylor never took a DNA test. Taylor says she tried once when Steffi was a baby, but she backed out at the last minute because she feared the results. Steffi screams that selfishness isn't love, that cowardice isn't protection. Taylor drops to her knees, sobbing that she made a mistake, a catastrophic mistake, and Steffi stands above her shaking, unable to accept Taylor's apology, unable to process a world where she may not be a Forrester, may not even be Ridge's daughter biologically. Her phone rings, it's Finn, but Steffi declines the call because she cannot speak, cannot explain, cannot breathe. Meanwhile, Ridge is in his car, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turn white. He is trembling beyond control, tears falling without permission, because every memory of Steffi flashes through his mind. Her first steps, her first words, the day she graduated college, the day she married Finn, the days she nearly died, the nights he held her after heartbreak. He whispers, "She is my daughter." But then another voice mocks, "Is she?" He slams his fist against the wheel and drives aimlessly, unaware he is headed toward Brooke's house, toward the one woman who always sees through him. At Forrester Creations, Brooke sees headlights and rushes outside, shocked to find Ridge stumbling out of his car. She runs to him asking what happened, and Ridge collapses into her arms, holding her like a drowning man clutches a lifeline. Brooke brings him inside, sits him down, and he tells her everything. Taylor's confession, Massimo, the possibility Steffi isn't his. Brooke gasps, covering her mouth, horrified yet unsurprised because deep down, she always suspected something. She comforts Ridge, telling him biology doesn't define parenthood, telling him Steffi is still his daughter. But Ridge shakes his head, saying he doesn't know who he is anymore. Back at the Cliff house, Steffi stands alone, staring at childhood photos, her as a baby in Ridge's arms, Ridge teaching her to swim, Ridge kissing her forehead at graduation. She whispers to herself, asking if those moments belong to another man's child. She takes the photos off the wall, dropping them to the floor one by one, unable to look at them anymore. Taylor watches, devastated, begging her daughter to understand the emotional storm she lived through back then, begging Steffi to forgive her someday. But Steffi whispers one sentence, voice dead and hollow, "You stole my identity." Steffi, shoulders shaking and voice hollow, retreats to the bedroom she once shared with Finn, slamming the door behind her. Taylor flinches at the sound, knowing that her daughter isn't just angry. She is shattered, betrayed, and spiraling into an identity crisis Taylor spent decades trying to avoid. Taylor collapses onto the couch, face buried in her hands, replaying every moment from the past that led them here. The night she was with Massimo, the day she realized she was pregnant, the week she spent praying the baby belonged to Ridge, the moment she gave birth and swore she would never let this truth see the light of day. She whispers aloud that she should have confessed before, when Ridge and she divorced, when Steffi was older, when the world seemed calmer, but there was never a right time to destroy the people she loved, so she chose the lie, and the lie grew into a monster. In the bedroom, Steffi paces like a trapped animal, tugging at her hair, trying to breathe through the panic. Everything feels unreal, like she is floating outside her body, watching someone else's nightmare unfold. She screams into a pillow, voice breaking, body collapsing onto the bed as sobs choke her throat. She whispers the same words over and over. "I'm Steffi Forrester. I'm Ridge's daughter." As if the repetition might sew her identity back together. But the truth claws at her brain, tearing her certainty apart thread by thread. She remembers moments that now feel poisoned. Ridge proudly introducing her as his legacy, Steffi defending his name against the Logans, her pride in carrying the Forrester bloodline. What if all of that pride rested on a lie? Finn calls again. Her phone lights up across the room, buzzing against hardwood, echoing into her skull like a taunt. She wants to answer, wants to run into Finn's arms, collapse against his chest, plead for safety. But she also knows telling him will make it real. If she hears his voice, she will break. She lets the phone go silent. It buzzes again. And again. Finally she crawls across the floor, grabs it with shaking fingers and turns it off completely. Darkness. Silence. Nothingness. Meanwhile, Rich sits beside Brooke at her fireplace, body hunched forward, fingers threaded into his hair, shaking uncontrollably. Steffi, shoulders shaking and voice hollow, retreats to the bedroom she once shared with Finn, slamming the door behind her. Taylor flinches at the sound, knowing that her daughter isn't just angry. She is shattered, betrayed, and spiraling into an identity crisis Taylor spent decades trying to avoid. Taylor collapses onto the couch, face buried in her hands, replaying every moment from the past that led them here. The night she was with Massimo, the day she realized she was pregnant, the week she spent praying the baby belonged to Ridge, the moment she gave birth and swore she would never let this truth see the light of day. She whispers aloud that she should have confessed before, when Ridge and she divorced, when Steffi was older, when the world seemed calmer. But there was never a right time to destroy the people she loved, so she chose the lie, and the lie grew into a monster. In the bedroom, Steffi paces like a trapped animal, tugging at her hair, trying to breathe through the panic. Everything feels unreal, like she is floating outside her body, watching someone else's nightmare unfold. She screams into a pillow, voice breaking, body collapsing onto the bed as sobs choke her throat. She whispers the same words over and over. I'm Steffi Forrester. I'm Ridge's daughter. As if the repetition might sew her identity back together. But the truth claws at her brain, tearing her certainty apart thread by thread. She remembers moments that now feel poisoned. Ridge proudly introducing her as his legacy, Steffi defending his name against the Logans, her pride in carrying the Forrester bloodline. What if all of that pride rested on a lie? Finn calls again. Her phone lights up across the room, buzzing against hardwood, echoing into her skull like a taunt. She wants to answer, wants to run into Finn's arms, collapse against his chest, plead for safety. But she also knows telling him will make it real. If she hears his voice, she will break. She lets the phone go silent. It buzzes again. And again. Finally she crawls across the floor, grabs it with shaking fingers and turns it off completely. Darkness. Silence. Nothingness. Meanwhile, Rich sits beside Brooke at her fireplace, body hunched forward, fingers threaded into his hair, shaking uncontrollably. Brooke sits close, rubbing his back gently, letting him fall apart without judgment. She knows this pain, the kind that claws under the skin and rips the foundation of the soul apart. Ridge whispers that he feels like a stranger in his own body. He tells Brooke how he loved Steffi from the moment she opened her eyes. He recalls the baby blanket she clung to, the day she got her first surfboard, the night she cried after her first heartbreak. He whispers, I raised her. I taught her everything she knows. But if she isn't mine, what am I? His voice breaks on the last word. Brooke closes her eyes, breath shaking, feeling the weight of decades between them. Love, war, marriage, divorce, betrayal, redemption. She knows this vulnerability is dangerous because Ridge always runs when he is hurting, seeking comfort from the woman he trusts most. She doesn't want to become a replacement for Taylor's destruction. Not again. But at this moment, Ridge is not a man looking for romance. He is a father fighting not to drown. Brooke cups his cheek gently and whispers that biology doesn't erase love. She tells him that if a DNA test proves Massimo is Steffi's father, it won't change the memories. It won't change who raised her. It won't erase Ridge's influence or bond. Ridge shakes his head violently, whispering that this is different. This is foundational. Brooke swallows hard, nodding, understanding even if she hates that truth. Back at the Cliff House, Taylor forces herself onto her feet and knocks on Steffi's bedroom door, voice weak as she asks to talk. No response. Taylor knocks again. Silence. She whispers that she loves her daughter, but Steffi screams through the wood that love means nothing if built on lies. Finally the door flies open. Steffi stands there, eyes swollen, face streaked with tears, expression furious and heartbroken. She demands every detail. When Taylor was with Massimo, whether Taylor loved him, whether Ridge ever suspected, whether anyone else knows. Taylor answers honestly. She was vulnerable, Massimo comforted her, no one else knows.